activists, good radicals, in a time where society is blinded by inertia and apathy. Comrades, we're starting to see sights on the streets now that we would not have seen and would not have been accepted when many of us were children. Gross homelessness, as you know, food banks, deaths on the streets. In the past, these things would not have been tolerated. Nobody here needs me to read out statistics about where the money is, about where the wealth is, about where the wealth isn't. Lots of us don't need to hear them statistics. We know where the wealth is. We know where the money is. And when we look around at some of the sites that we're increasingly seeing, we know where the wealth isn't. So I don't want to address statistics. I want to address the issue of apathy and inertia, and why people are now walking over and walking past people and sites that would have caused ruptions in the past. Comrades, ever since the growth of the post-war consensus, 1945, the very concept that we need to create a society, a community of communities, in which basic concepts such as welfare, health, education should be a given. And these things were taken for granted by our parents and our grandparents as a given, as they should. Comrades, let us remember that the post-war consensus, the welfare state, was not gifted to us by the Labour Party. It was demanded by the return of millions of men and women who had just returned from the largest anti-fascist struggle in world history. Those people were politicised, they were trained and they were armed. That is what gained the welfare state that our parents and our grandparents took for granted. The Tories, as we know, have spent every year since 1945 attempting to destroy and dismantle that consensus that once promised us at least the appearance of a decent society. They have spent every year scraping back the health service, ward by ward, service by service. They have spent every year scraping back the benefit system, taking away meals on wheels and community care and handing us DLA as some sort of compromise, and then coming back for that later, as they're doing at the minute. It is no wonder when we consider how, after Thatcher's so-called home ownership schemes of the 1980s, there is no doubt that that was the jewel in the crown of the Tory policy in beginning to smash the post-war consensus in the welfare state. When the Tories managed to create transient communities, when they managed to sell off homes at tiny costs for people who couldn't wait to run away from the communities in which they grew up in, when they then threw our communities open to predatory landlords, to predatory property moguls, who then destroyed once solid, once unified communities by creating individual unit homes instead of streets where people once knew each other's names, where everybody knew each other, where everybody could rely on each other and everybody understood each other. It is no wonder when this became the norm that society, working class unity, the whole concept of working class solidarity began to crumble. It is no wonder, it is no surprise that in the decade following Thatcher's so-called home ownership schemes, that trade union membership began to plummet amongst our youth. And it is no wonder when trade union membership began to plummet amongst our youth that sights and scenes such as mass homelessness, evictions, food banks began to become the norm. Things that would have once caused absolute shock and horror in the working class communities are now being taken for granted. I want to say this, that it is you are an absolute credit, the fact that in a society completely dominated by apathy and inertia, you are still furious at the sights we are beginning to see. It is an absolute credit, and it is an honour to stand with you at this time. Comrades, I'll just give one example of why I don't think we should lose hope. It's not often you hear Patrick Pearse quoted at events like this, but there's one quote that I think is very apt, when he said, "These people think they have provided for everything. These people think that they have purchased one half of us and intimidated the other half of us. Well, there's one thing they haven't reckoned on: the appetite for militant pure militant struggle and pure militant resistance. I'll give you just one example, comrades, and I won't take much longer. We were approached, the IRSP were approached by a vulnerable working class mother in Divis only last year. She was being threatened with eviction by the housing executive, who are normally there would be no eviction in West Belfast, no matter what. We then set motions in place. We put teams in order. We canvassed the community, and there was a community consensus that no matter what, there would be no evictions in West Belfast, and we made this very clear. Comrades, what then occurred was amazing. A society that we were told no longer cared, a society that we were told was racked with apathy and inertia, rose up, and in no time hundreds of people were pledging that in no uncertain terms they would physically prevent either the PSNI or UC or Crown bailiffs from coming in to West Belfast and even thinking of it, putting a working class family in the street. What this proves, comrades, is that whatever the defeats of the past, all is not lost. One key to this struggle, one key will win it, and that is the appetite for militancy. Don't wait for establishment politicians who on the one hand hand out platitudes about trying to end homelessness while propping up the landlord system. On the other hand, when people aren't looking, rely on yourselves, rely on your spirit, but most of all, rely on your appetite for militancy. That's what will carry us through. Comrades, the IRSP will be with you the whole way. We only ask that you someday will stand with us at the same time. For me, the stand.